Welcome to Your Story or History, a podcast from Londonderry YMCA. I'm Catherine, the project coordinator.
And I'm Hannah, the project archivist. For the past year, we've been on a mission funded by the National Lottery Heritage Fund to capture the voices that have shaped this organisation.
Today we're talking with Kris Dunn, whose life has been woven into the YMCA for over 40 years. Kris was there when the first sod was cut for our building in the early 80s, and since then he's been a summer scheme regular, a rugby veteran of 20 years and a dedicated board member. He shares memories of sneaking off to the snooker tables as a boy, the weird and wonderful training regimes of Willie Lamrock, and why the YMCA's family ethos has kept the organisation strong for nearly 170 years.
Okay, so what is your name?
Kris Dunn.
Perfect. And tell me a wee bit about yourself now, so your age, your occupation and some of your hobbies.
I am 47, just passed on Saturday. I have just finished working with NIE yesterday. I'm moving into a new company next week.
Great.
So it's all a bit of a change. So Jap Transmissions is where I'm going next week. Mm-hmm. And big fan of sport in general, mostly rugby. I'm involved at City of Derry coaching the under-16s at present, and we've just finished and won the cup there with them on Saturday, so that was a good finish to the season. And try to play some golf badly, but where I can, and so I was a member at City of Derry Golf Club, and just enjoy being out and about and socialising with friends and family. So
Great. And then tell me, how did you get involved in the YMCA?
It's a long time ago. First, the YMCA, I was at Drumahoe Primary School. So when this building opened, or the building of it started, way back in 1980, whatever, I was in P3, P4, and we were all brought down for a church service here, whether they either were cutting the sod for the new building or they were opening it. So I can't remember which one it was, but yes, and there's a photograph somewhere in the book, you know, the history of the YMCA, that we're all there from Drumahoe Primary School. So that was my first sort of introduction to the YMCA here in Drumahoe, and then through the summer scheme way back in the 80s. Then there was always football or whatever down in the pitches, and either up here doing games or activities. So that I spent my summers. I think the summer scheme was nearly 6 weeks long at that stage, so it was it was always running, so it was always shipped out to go to it. So that was, and my mother worked here as well when this was a hostel. So I can't remember the time frames, but Mum would have came over and done the breakfast for all the backpackers. So, and I would have been brought over just to give her a hand or tidy something up. So that was sort of my first real introductions to the YMCA then, and as I continued through primary school, just going to the youth clubs here then. So
What did you do at the summer schemes? Like what sort of activities?
it was quite easy. The summers always seemed nice, so we're always outside. So it would have been down in the pitches, football, just running about. There are a lot of activities, the arts and crafts, just general games, even football in the hall or wherever, and so it was always a lot of sort of tired days coming back. But yeah, so I think they split it. So I in the morning, and then I would have walked home, had lunch, and then came back again for the evening one. So
Sounds like a nice summer.
it was. It always seemed that you'd I can't be bothered to go, but then when you got here, it was always good fun. So there's always a lot of leaders about, and plenty of people from the primary school and Tully Alley and that. So you got to meet a lot of people. So.
And then whenever you were coming here with your mum, did she have to drag you here as well?
Oh, well, that one wasn't as much fun because I was working. But I always sneaked upstairs. Then there was a snooker room upstairs,
Yeah.
so I went up there and played in the big snooker tables and that. So,
Great.
but yeah, so she spent the morning getting breakfast ready, and she would have then also had a cleaning job here. So again, that would have generally been coming over there with her, so, and disappearing somewhere in the building. So.
And then I know then later on you got involved in the rugby team, or was that from you were young as well?
The rugby team was, I played here, I was still at Foyle, so, and Willie Lamrock and Lloyd Cook got me involved. I was only 16 at the time, so I shouldn't have actually been playing. I was too young. So I was playing at adult rugby then at 16s, so 16, 17, so it was always, my name couldn't officially go on the team sheet or whatever. So, but it was a good introduction, as I say. You were sort of, that was the whole introduction to that sort of level of sport then, and again, a lot of good friends built up from that. A lot of older friends then, because obviously I was young, but they looked after me very well. Left me home in some states at some time, but and my mother's. Remember my mother saying that's the last time you'll be playing rugby with those guys, you know. But 20 odd years later, I was still there. So then I played. We had a good core of teammates then, and we played a good level of rugby right up, pretty much till it all stopped here, because probably age, wear, family commitments, wives, girlfriends, and then no real youth setup, so there was nothing to follow on, which is a bit of a shame. So, but no, that's where most of a great deal of my friendships then came out of and are still there. And obviously, meeting different people from different clubs, you bump into them in different walks of life then, with work and just out and about, and so. The cricket was here as well, so.
Were you involved in the cricket?
I would have played cricket here, but I wasn't in any of the teams, so I was always in another local team. But if it was on, I was down in the field, sort of running about. So.
Yeah. And what did a typical training rugby session look like?
If it was really wet, then we were playing table tennis or volleyball in the hall, because nobody wanted to go out. But no, it was. When I was 17, 18, it might have been only limited numbers, and it was cold and wet, and I just remember it's like, oh man. But as we got better, the more people were at the training, the more then there was investment in coaches, and so it became more structured. And Willie always had some weird training regime that he wanted to try out, but as we got better and progressed up the leagues, then there was other coaches came on board, and it was very structured. And there's times there we had 20 to 30 people out, so it was intense. There was a lot of, in the summer we tried to obviously get as fit as we possibly could before the season, and then and we had, what else, the coaches from a few local coaches from Limavady were very good, Ian and Harry, and then we had Nico coming from South Africa. So, and he spent 2 or 3 seasons with us. We had Dave Laidlaw from New Zealand. So we were playing a good standard that these guys helped bring us along. So it was great to sort of underneath them at that stage, so, and learn a bit.
And then later on, how did you get involved in the board?
Oh. I blame my wife on that one. Well, probably Willie again. I was always about, and I was always with the rugby, so I was always dropping in and out of the building here. And I can't remember when I got onto the board, but it just feels like I've been there forever. So it does. I can't recall. It would have been Lorna and Johners and Andy and Willie, and then there was a few older members, Isabel Canning and John John Scott, I think it was. So at the initial stage, it was always felt very rigid, very mostly male dominated. And then as we progressed through, then as I say, Lorna, my sister, was on the board. She was chair for a while as well. So, and then as we work our way through now, so you've Lisa and Katrina, and there's Gillian. There's it's a mixed and varied board, so it's good. So, but yeah, it just feels like I've been there for a long time.
So I know John Scott was like around like 2003. So that must mean that you were like 20 plus years now you've been on the board.
Wow. Yeah.
It's a really, really long time.
It is. It's probably, you were there. Obviously, I was only young at that stage as well, so a lot of decisions were sort of, you were listening and learning, and those sorts of, older, more established personalities within the board, and you're sort of just feeling your way through it and see how things, and you're just bringing maybe a perspective from a young person's point of view at that point. So, which is kind of strange now, because we're doing the same, but I'm no longer the young person and the old crony up the stairs. So no, it's been good, and it's had many changes through the years. So when people dropping in and out of the board because of other commitments, but there's always been a fairly steady core of 4 or 5 of us that have seemed to have been there for a long time now. So
that's great. And then I know that you've I suppose, what is the single most, like, see, whenever you think of the YMCA and all your sort of experience, what one like stands out most to you as like this, like, sort of encapsulates like your whole time? There might even be a couple, because you've had so many different experiences. And
I think from the sport, from the rugby point of view, that was a big thing here, because we were always second or third fiddle to the Limavadi's, City area and stuff. So to be then in the same sort of playing arena as those guys, and to do well and win the leagues, and actually be in that sort of one league away. Although we were there for a year, we never challenged the top tier of Ulster 1, but we did okay. But in essence, we were one league away from All Ireland Rugby. Now, it would have taken a lot of work to get there, and I don't think it was, with the players that were there, we were getting on a bit. So, but it would have been nice to see where that would have went had we a structure coming through. But so no, getting to where we got to with the players and sometimes it felt limited resources. I think we did really well. Punched well above our weight, and as I say, the friendships there have been enduring, and so they're still very much keep in touch with a great deal of them. So that's been the standout.
Yeah.
I
suppose this would probably more so relate to the rugby and then your time on the board, but has there been any sort of challenges?
Always, not so much with the rugby, take that aside, but from the board point of view, it was always trying to balance where the funding was coming from, how we were going to survive sometimes for another year, or there was good people within the organisation, how do we keep them and where do we seek funding from? And sometimes it felt very difficult to tap into funds that, from either EA or other projects that were available. So it was always trying to, where's the next pot of money coming from to keep the doors open? So finance has always been sort of big on the agenda with the board, just purely to try and keep the lights on, so and keep everybody in employment. So that was always that's still the focus of the board. So yeah, and still very much the main challenge.
Yeah.
So, and I think we need to look at other other ways of bringing money into the organisation as opposed to the normal, funding packages. We might have to look at other fundraising options or think outside the box. And the community here has always been very good in anything that we support, whether it's a Christmas fair or just even ventures that the youth club do, and like the car washes and things like that. So the local business community here has always supported it well. So what would be good is the Drumahoe community group is running as well. So it would be good to get a proper link up there and start, taking the strengths out of the two organisations and do something really good for the village here. So
yeah, definitely.
So that would be good to see.
And then thinking back on your time, what was the most, you can answer these individually of course, skill, lesson or friendship you gained from being involved?
The friendships are easy. That came from mostly the rugby, but even now here with people in the board or just the staff within the organisation, like some of them have come through from the youth club, and you see them grow and develop, and you're in. There's a lot of friendships just because of the nature of the organisation, which is nice. My neighbour, Mr. Johnson, who you've interviewed as well. So he's, as I say, we're quite close. It feels like the YMCA's close knit community, and it's we're always there to help and guide and support each other. So I can't say one defined friendship out of the whole thing, but there's certainly been many that have impacted me and through my 40 odd years.
And then what skills, I suppose, because you have even from like rugby and then on the board?
It's communication skills and sort of certainly listening, as more so from the board point of view, and listening to what our young people feel is necessary now, because what's relevant for me isn't obviously relevant, for a great deal of the membership here. And it's trying to take that on board and see, how do we improve and involve the organisation. So certainly listening, communicating, and then taking that time to sort of assess it from other people's point of view. So rather than just impose my own sort of thoughts, it's just to take a step back and sort of take a breath and say, right, why is somebody saying this, and what's their thoughts, or why, what point of view are they coming from, and how do we address this, and how do we, move forward. So
that's great. And then I suppose thinking on the organisation as a whole, what do you believe is the most positive effect? I suppose you've been involved in a lot of things, but I suppose just the organisation as a whole has had on the community.
I think it's a safe place for a lot of people here. Even from a simple point of view from the youth club, we have people from different backgrounds here, and it's very inclusive. So, and there's very little tolerance for anything that would be opposed to that. So we're quite, we protect that sort of side of our organisation. So anybody that comes through the doors made feel very welcome. And that sort of works through from the whole family perspective. So that's what it should feel like to anybody, and anybody that works here. So obviously my wife works here. My daughter's part-time here, and then you've Katrina, you've Catherine here, so there's family ties all over the place. And that's how it should feel, and that's how it feels to me. It's more, it's not about the one person or one thing. It's the whole family ethos here, which I suppose is the enduring nature of the YMCA. There's many organisations have came and went, but we're still here after 100 odd years, and I think that's testament to that sort of family ethos. And certainly even in times of, if there's a flood or electrical outages or whatever, we open up the building here, and it's again another safe space for people to come and get their, just get a bit of shelter, a bit of heat. So, and that's what we're all about, really.
Fantastic. And then I suppose, is there anything that you want to add that you think's important that we should have asked you?
Oh dear. I told my wife there I had my first kiss here, my first romantic kiss at one of the discos. And she said it wasn't her, and I said, no, it definitely wasn't her. So, and I was pretty sure it was all wrong.
Did you meet Lisa through?
No, I played rugby, and her brother was in the team, and then history looked after that then. So, so yeah, and then as I say, the whole family thing. Lisa's been here a long time, and so it's very much woven through my lifetime here. So, and probably will continue to be. Yeah. So definitely. So
that's amazing. Thank you so much, Kris.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Your Story, Our History.
Our living archive is still growing. If you have a story from the last 40 years at Drumahoe, we want to hear from you.
You can get in touch by messaging us on Facebook or Instagram at Londonderry YMCA Heritage, or emailing heritage.lderry@ymca-ireland.net.
This project is kindly funded by the National Lottery Heritage Fund. Be sure to follow our podcast so you don't miss our next story.
Because our history
is your story.